You're watching the FARC Low Dollar series on Fuel Spill TV. And welcome on this Memorial Day weekend to the General Grant Speedway, a flat 3/4 mile oval in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. And it's certainly very fitting that we race here for this holiday, as the promoters here have gone all out in honoring General Grant and the Union's triumph over slavery and treason in the Civil War. 38 cars will start today's Liberty 150 with Aaron Colltier on the pole and Alfred Jones, the FARC Super Series regular, on his outside, filling in for the injured Billy Ray Smith-Thompson in the number 42 car. Alfred Jones and Tyler Thaber would be pulling double duty this weekend, as they were both in the Super Series race that took place the day before. Let's go back and show you what happened in their 60-lap feature. Taylor Brillin, the winner of the opening round at Flat Rock, Michigan, would set the fast time, but she would roll a 5 in the traditional inversion die roll, which means the first 10 spots would be inverted for the start. This would put Jason Bates at the front of the field in the number 51 for Wild West Racing. He leads over Hamilton Porteau, but neither of them get a great start, as the second row are right on their bumpers. Here comes Matt Pearson looking to the inside already, almost making it 3 wide as Porteau slaps the wall. Terrible start for him. Pearson, a drag race down the backstretch with Bates, and Matt Pearson moves into the lead with Zidane Quackenbush just behind him. Points leader Bobby Porteau was surprisingly off the pace in qualifying, and so he had to start in the B main. He won that quite easily, but that would put him all the way back in 19th for the start. But he would waste no time tearing through the field in the opening laps. It looked like whatever the two-time champion had going on in qualifying was fixed before the B main. Alfred Jones was also making some big moves early with this 3-wide pass on Tim Burkhalter and Tyler Thaber, moving from 7th to 4th in a single lap. This race is certainly going to be valuable practice for both him and Tyler Thaber. This would be a very clean race, as this would be the only incident, as Matt Strauskas, running off the pace, gets run over by Ben Worthington coming into turn 3 as we near the halfway point. Matt Pearson had built up a very big lead as Alfred Jones eventually moved into second place, with Bobby Porteau moving all the way up to third. But Pearson shakes off the interruption and starts to open up the lead again. Matt Pearson has been racing in the Super Series for quite a few years already, although he has never won a race. However, after being gifted a great starting spot, things have gone absolutely perfect for him today, as he leads every single lap to take the checkered flag. And I guarantee you, the smash beer is going to be flowing very, very freely at the Andy Pearson Racing Camp tonight. With his win, Matt Pearson moves into 13th in the series standings. Bobby Porteau would continue to lead the standings after this weekend, with Taylor Brillin and his brother Hamilton behind him. But now, after Matt Pearson's big win, it's time for the FARC Low Dollar Series to get their 150-lap feature going. Aaron Colltier and Alfred Jones lead the field to the green, with Jeffrey Jackson and Mark right behind them. And it's a great start for Colltier. The 13 and 42 are very quick to jump out front, with Jeffrey Jackson trying to hold off the field behind him. Mark looks like he's going to try to make a move around the outside, and he pokes his nose just in front of the 05, heading into 3, as Colltier and Jones are very safely 1-2 at the end of the first lap. Jeffrey Jackson had all too briefly secured third, but he's got some early handling problems that will take him into the wall. Obviously, this is going to cost him a lot of positions. He may even fall out of the top 10 from this. Looking at the 212 of Xavier Ruiz, now there are a couple cars running very high in 4. Daniel Sharp and Michaela Perry-Jones getting together, and Ruiz just gets caught up between those two. Lawrence Allen decides to join this little fender bender as well. We're pretty fortunate that this wasn't a very big accident, considering how bunched together the cars are at the beginning of the race. But under caution, Mauro Adachi, third in points coming into this race, is going to drop out, as there's a lot of smoke behind that car. He was running in 19th, so not a great start for him. On the restart, Sergei Yakovski pounces and takes second from Alfred Jones, with Riley Durbin following him. He had his best qualifying result with a 5th place start today, and now he wants to do something with it as he chases down Aaron Colltier for the lead. But as this is going on, Durane Ridman drops out of the race with mechanical problems. Riley Durbin got around Sergei Yakovski, and that's Rip Tyler running very, very slow on the apron. I think Aaron Colltier was checking up to try to avoid him and the 72 of Bobby Dwyer, and that's going to give Durbin the lead. And Yakovski, who now takes over second, is not going to have a whole lot of patience for Dwyer and puts him into the wall to bring out our second caution. Coming back to the yellow, Nicholas Radcliffe puts the bumper to Harv Henry, who doesn't seem to appreciate that, and causes a very big wreck at the start-finish line. That's going to take out Emmett Newton in that 23 car. Unfortunately for Newton, his first race since his attempt to qualify at Sayre would be short-lived. It looks like Yakovski's cut a tire with that contact with Dwyer. He pits coming to the restart and will fall off the lead lap. It's now Grant Carson's turn to get into the back of Dwyer, and he nearly causes a huge wreck, bouncing into the 77 and the 60. I'm very surprised they managed to hang on to their cars, but I don't know if they managed to hang on to their bowels. As Riley Durbin and Aaron Colltier tried to drive away, Hunter Blaize and Taylor Matthews, a couple of rivals for the points lead, have moved up into the top 5. Michaela Perry-Jones had a 1-point lead on Matthews coming into this race, and Matthews is well ahead of her right now. Meanwhile, Blaize sits 50 points back, 5th in points. We're going to get another yellow as Hunter Blaize and Tyler Faber get together, but this will be another small incident as everybody avoids him. The majority of the field, aside from Aaron Colltier and a few others, would make their first pit stops of the day under that yellow, putting Colltier back into the lead and shaking up the rest of the top 10. Mark moves into second, but now he's got to contend with a few lapped cars, Rip Tyler and Sergei Yakovski. Alfred Jones dips onto the apron as the field gets jammed up behind the slower cars, but he's got to really back that thing down or else he'd shoot up the track in 3. Jones started to fade during that first stint and found himself pretty deep in the field after pit stops, but it looks like he's got what it takes to get back to the front if he can keep the car in one piece. Grant Carson's is going to come back onto the track from an unscheduled stop with a huge group of traffic. Contact with Hollowfield's going to cause another caution as Carson's almost goes upside down, as Harv Henry and Daniel Lecklighter go into the wall with him. And Daniel Lecklighter, once again visiting from the Master Cup Series, is going to go out of the race. We'd have another round of stops under that caution, some cars pitting the first time, others the second time. That causes another shakeup at the front as Anthony Griffith now leads with Hunter Blaize behind him. You saw Dalton Carter in the 376 blowing up in the background as that race restarted. Griffith and Blaize get away with Rick Forrest quite a ways back in third. Griffith comes up on the lapped car of David Bloom, making his first start in quite a few weeks with a new front end on that car that immediately gets smashed up as Griffith tangles with him. And just like that, the race is over for Anthony Griffith as Blaize comes around to take the lead. There's no caution, even though we have 2 cars spewing smoke and fluid all over the place. And it looks like the others might have some trouble with that. Michaela Perry-Jones and Riley Durbin are running wide. Durbin makes contact with the 93 off the wall in the infield and skates across the track and right into the end of the pit wall. An ugly wreck for Riley Durbin is going to put us under the red flag. There has to be a ton of fluid all over turn 2 and on the apron leading to the pits. And Durbin's just along for the ride after hitting the inside wall. This is right on the heels of that huge wreck at Nelson Ledges just a couple weeks ago. The safety team would get Riley Durbin out of that car and straight to the hospital. We don't have any word on his condition other than that he was speaking to the track workers. But honestly, I don't think that crash should have happened. The yellow should have been thrown right away for the 7 and the 69. The race would finally restart, and the field made yet another round of stops, except for Mark, who stays out and claims the lead, but Taylor Matthews is all over him. A lot of teams were checking and changing tires out of concern from running through fluid and debris. But Aaron Colltier, running 4 wide with the lapped cars of Xavier Ruiz and Bobby Dwyer, is going to go into the wall. Jeffrey Jackson would be caught up as well. Jackson and Colltier were finally making their way back up through the field, and Bobby Dwyer, with a lot of damage on that front end, is going to drop out of the race. That's going to leave John Burr as the only car from that team left on the track. You see him in that second white car on the inside. That's a new car for him, a second-hand Lakoya from Power Surge America that they brought down to his shop. Speaking of Power Surge America, Rip Tyler is trying to get one of his laps back as Taylor Matthews inherited the lead thanks to Mark cutting a tire. So it probably would have been a good idea for him to pit during that second-to-last caution. But here comes Michaela Perry-Jones with a move around the inside to take the lead. She had not been inside the top 5 all day until this point, but now she's doing her best to deny her rival points. Hunter Blaize had also cut a tire during that last caution. He's fallen a few laps down, and now Perry-Jones puts another lap on him. Hunter Blaize is now all the way back in 26th place. Skeeter Farnsworth had a great start at the Carl Superstore last week, but didn't stay up front for very long. But now, he's moved up into second place over Taylor Matthews. This is shaping up to be Farnsworth's best run in the series so far, as he's come up through the field very quickly in the recent runs. Tyler Faber is another one of those drivers who has just gotten himself up to the front. He's now stalking the 61 with Hunter Blaize getting in the way. Faber back with MNJ Racing today, looking for a second win of the season with a brand new sponsor on that car. Patrick Ashcroft had been quietly running in the top 10 all day, but he blows up exiting 4 and almost spins that car around, but he very quickly gets it to the inside and out of the way. Moving back up into the top 5 now would be Alfred Jones, the second place starter, subbing for Billy Ray Smith-Thompson. His Super Series sponsors have stepped up to help Andy Pearson Racing bring the 42 car to the track. You'll notice that Tyler Faber did eventually get around the 61 car. Alfred Jones will be the next to take her on, which would be the battle for 4th. Matthews is certainly very slowly slipping as she washes way up the track and almost gets into the back of Rick Forrest, who has gone a lap down, so that's going to give 4th place to Alfred Jones. As this surprisingly long green flag run goes on, MJ Bakerman has been one of the drivers to be put a lap down by Michaela Perry-Jones, but she is still running a very respectable 13th, right in front of Ben McClellan, until the inevitable mechanical failure bites her. Come on, it's MJ Bakerman in that car. What did you think was going to happen? She's going to bring that car into the pits and make the now very repetitive hard turn into the infield. And now at the front of the field, Alfred Jones has gone up in smoke. That's a huge disappointment for that team, as Jones was looking to match the 42's best finish of 4th this season, and maybe even better. Not only that, but score double top 5s on the weekend. But maybe we'll see him again if Billy Ray has to stay out of the car for a little longer. And now we're going to get our 7th caution as Rick Forrest gets run over by second place Skeeter Farnsworth. Noah Dalitz smashes into the back of the 60, and that will end the day for the 63. He had gotten some early damage and was just not that competitive afterwards. Meanwhile, Rick Forrest is going to continue. 6 cars were left on the lead lap at the time of that caution, and everybody would come back down pit road except for Aaron Colltier, who stays out in an apparent desperation move. But that was a very long run, and with over 30 laps still left to run, I don't think he's going to last very long. The lap to car of Nicholas Radcliffe certainly isn't helping him either, but he pulls that thing to the inside, getting past Radcliffe and shutting the door on Michaela Perry-Jones, at least for a little bit longer. Perry-Jones right on his back bumper, ready to eat him for lunch. There she goes to the inside. Skeeter Farnsworth and Tyler Faber battle for 3rd right behind them, and Perry-Jones immediately opens up a lead of several car lengths. Tyler Faber coming after the 24, getting to the inside and getting past the 24. I wonder if Farnsworth may have had a problem of some kind after getting into the side of the 60. And now Faber and Colltier nearly get together, going for 2nd. And now there's trouble for the 61. Taylor Matthews was still on the lead lap, all but guaranteed a top 5 finish. And now a cut tire forces her into the pits, and she will fall off of the lead lap. And now with Perry-Jones pulling away, this is going to cost her even more points. As we settle into yet another long green flag run, Michaela Perry-Jones puts her skills at navigating traffic to work once again. Tyler Faber trying to chase her down for a 2nd win with M&J Racing. He does catch her a little bit as she runs into traffic, but Perry-Jones quickly gets by them and opens up the lead once again. And after going green the rest of the way, MPJ rounds the final corner to take her 2nd win of the year and 3rd in a row for Durban Sport Racing. However, it was a bit of a subdued celebration in Victory Lane as thoughts turned to their ally at Focus Autosports, Riley Durbin. Only 4 cars remained on the lead lap at the end, and Skeeter Farnsworth and Daniel Sharp would have been in danger of going a lap down themselves if the race had been just a little bit longer. Mike Malone, Archer Helms, and Sergei Yakovski all struggled at the start of the race, but worked their way up slowly into the top 10 by the end. Todd Stater was the first car 2 laps down, missing out on his first top 10 finish since his third place at the season opener. Ben McClellan put up another very respectable run for the 228 team. Taylor Matthews and Hunter Blaize were running together earlier in the race until they had their problems. They just couldn't get away from each other even afterwards. Mark ended up 4 laps down at the end. Grant Carson's 6 laps down after a race that was nothing short of a disaster, and he'd been running so well before this. Rick Forrest dropped out of the race in the closing laps, finishing just ahead of John Burr and Harv Henry. And then, of course, further down, Alfred Jones and Patrick Ashcroft were running very well until they had their mechanical problems. And now here is the remainder of the field. Riley Durbin down in 31st. Looks like he might be out for a few races after a wreck that really shouldn't have happened. Now here are the point standings. Predictably, Michaela Perry-Jones opened up her lead after the victory. Taylor Matthews hangs on to second. Daniel Sharp moves up into third over Hunter Blaize. After today, the best of 8 rule kicks in, so everyone who has run up 8 races up to this point will start having their worst finishes eliminated after Moncton. Michaela Perry-Jones has been consistently fast so far, so I imagine it will be the drivers further back in the running order making the bigger gains. Grant Carson's moves back to 6th, Mark stays where he is, Mauro Adachi drops all the way back to 8th, and then it's Harry Enola and Patrick Ashcroft rounding up the top 10. Mike Malone and Sergei Yakovski are starting to make some big gains now that they've started running better. Skeeter Farnsworth is all the way up to 15th after entering this race 21st. He leapfrogs his teammate Rip Tyler. Next week, the FARC Low Dollar Series heads north of the border to the Moncton Speedway in New Brunswick for the annual Canadian round. And as always, you'll be able to catch the action right here on Fuel Spill TV.